Appreciate you joining me today. We're going to be looking in Daniel chapter 3 today at Daniel's three friends and the fiery furnace. Our hymn today is He Who in the Fiery Furnace.
He who in the fiery furnace kept from harm the faithful three, suffering in our mortal nature, decks with life mortality. Him our Father's God we praise, blessed and glorious always.
Verse 2 Holy women bearing ointments sought the mortal, bathed in tears, but their sorrow changed to gladness, for the living God appears. And they tell the news abroad of the risen Son of God. Now we celebrate the triumph. Death and Hades overthrown, earnest of a life unending, all the glory is thine own. God our Father's God we praise, blessed and glorious always. All right, He Who in the Fiery Furnace. Appreciate that hymn, Lee. We're looking in Daniel chapter 3, verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold. Some time after he promoted Daniel, and time goes by, Nebuchadnezzar makes an image of gold. Its height was 60 cubits. Its width 6 cubits. And of course, he wants everyone to bow down, and the satraps and the administrators, they all know, of course, full well that the faithful Jews, those who are faithful, they're not going to bow down. And so as we go on in the account, because the idea is when they hear the sound of the horn and the flute and such things, they're going to fall down and worship the god, the gold image that Nebuchadnezzar made, and anybody who doesn't, they're going to be thrown in the fiery furnace. And so certain Chaldeans come forward and accuse the Jews, verse 8, and they say, O king, live forever, and they tell the king what's happening. Verse 12, there are certain Jews, and this is probably like what we see later on with Daniel. This is probably what we see with Esther, and that they were looking for a reason to move against they were looking for a way to move against the Jews. And so they come and they say, oh, well, there's certain Jews that you've set over the affairs of the province, and they've not paid due regard to you. They serve other gods. They don't serve your God. Verse 12. So Nebuchadnezzar, in rage and fury, commanded that they be brought, and says, if you know what's good for you, you'll bow down to the idol. Because who is the God who will deliver you from my hands? So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the gold image which you have set up. And so Nebuchadnezzar says, if you don't do this, I'm going to kill you. And the three say, our God is able to deliver us, but if we die, so be it. We'll die faithful. A couple days ago, we spoke about discernment and how you have to know when to say yes and when to say no. And that discernment and that decision is not based on whether you die. If it's based on whether you die or not, then you would bow down to the idol like everybody else was doing in Babylon. But it's no, you're faithful. You're faithful until death. If that means you die at a ripe old age, okay. If that means you die right there on the spot, like John the Baptist, so be it. Stephen, so be it. So many others. If it's that time, it's that time. Be faithful. The Lord may deliver you. The Lord may allow you to sleep in his Son, to sleep in Jesus, as it is. And so they say, if we die, okay, but we're not bowing down. The Lord can deliver us, but if not, we're not bowing down. We're not doing it. And so Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the expression on his face changed toward these three, and he spoke and commanded that they heat the furnace 7 times more than it was usually heated. You know that phrase, Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury. Let me look to see what that is in some of the other translations. ESV is filled with fury, New American Standard, filled with wrath. Let me see what the phrase actually is. That it is, pretty much is what it is. Thought it might be something different, but that's okay. You know, when I envision it, I'm picturing Nebuchadnezzar is just flying off the handle. And what I'm picturing is someone who, in their anger, has lost control. And as his demeanor changes, and he just turns into a wild man. And it's you heat the furnace up 7 times hotter than usual, pump the bellows. And to the point where even some of his own people die because they get too close. 7 times hotter. And I'm sure the three friends are thinking, you can make it as hot as you want to. That's not going to change anything. But I was just thinking about how important self-control is. Because the three friends, you can tell they are in absolute control. They are not being disrespectful. They're saying we are not going to obey this command, but they don't start hurling names at the king. They don't insult the king. They don't fly off the handle. They don't lose control. They say what they need to say, but they are very much in control. You might think about verses like be angry and sin not. You might think about Jesus cleansing the temple and that there is a time to be disagreeable. But, you know, Jesus did not lose his temper. He was angry, but he did not lose his temper. He controlled himself. And that's what we need to do. We need to make sure we are in control and not like Nebuchadnezzar, just flying off into a rage, full of fury, as the expression on his face changes. And so, of course, it's the account where the three are cast into the furnace, and then lo and behold, they look, and I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. They are not hurt. The form of the fourth is like the Son of God. And so Nebuchadnezzar goes near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace. I bet that was pretty hot. I wonder how close he got. Near the mouth. Others had died. You might remember that. That's verse 22. But anyway, Nebuchadnezzar comes near the mouth of the furnace. I wonder if that was after they had perhaps stopped pumping the bellows, so to speak. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they come from the midst of the fire. And the hair of their head was not singed. Their garments, the smell of the fire wasn't even on them. Of course, all those things being miraculous. And Nebuchadnezzar says, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him, and they have frustrated the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they should not serve nor worship any god except their own." He's going to go on to promote these three. How do we react when our word is frustrated? You know, to Nebuchadnezzar's credit, when it's all said and done here, and he says, they have frustrated my word. I gave the command. They disobeyed it. I threatened them. They did not yield. They were ready to die. And they have frustrated the command that I gave. And so be it. And so be it. And there is no other God who can deliver like this. Mike, think about when we are frustrated, when our ways are frustrated, and the Lord frustrates them. What is our reaction? Do we double down and frustrate him some more, or do we recognize his will? Hopefully the latter. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our Daily Praise.